Hello students, welcome back. Class 7 subject computer chapter 1. Okay, so our chapter 1 is uh, evolution of computer. Okay, in this chapter we can see the generation of computers, but first I want to discuss what is computer. So computer is a very complex piece of machinery, okay, made of many parts, each of which can be considered a separate invention. Okay, so we can also say computer is an electronic machine which process raw data and produce meaningful information outside the world. Okay, so we can say a computer is a complex piece of machinery made of many parts, each of which can be considered a separate invention. Okay, so computer is a very complex piece of machinery who is known as the father of computing. So we can say Charles Babbage is known as father of computing. He designed, okay, so we can say design. So he designed analytical engine. Okay, so we can say Charles Babbage is known as the father of computing and he designed analytical engine. This is also one type of computer. What is the future of technology? Okay, so our technology is so important. So in future you can see robotics, okay, wearable devices, teach tats which attract to skin like temporary tattoo, okay, mind reading machines, virtual reality, virtual world, artificial intelligence, big data, or we can say cloud computing, Wi-Fi, wireless fidelity, wireless charging standards, technological advancement in rural area. Okay, so in future you can see robotics, wearable devices, teach text, mind reading machine, you can see virtual reality machines, artificial intelligence, AI, big data, cloud computing, Wi-Fi, wireless charging standards, okay, and technological advancement in rural area. So this is our future of technology, so you can see. Okay, now next thing is I want to discuss the generation of computer. Okay, so first generation. Okay, so computer, the development of computer we can divide into 5 generations. So first generation, so 1940 to 1956. Okay, so first generation is 1940 to 56. In the generation, vacuum tubes are used for processing. Okay, vacuum tubes are used in first generation for processing. You can see this is the vacuum tube. This is just like a electronic bulb. Okay, so electronic bulb. And for storing our data, to store data we can so punch card are used and paper tape are used. Okay, so storing data, punch card, paper tape, and for processing, so vacuum tube were used. Okay, so you can see in generation period, so for 40 to 56 hardware characteristics, you can see vacuum tubes or magnetic drums for memory to storing our data, input on punch card and paper tape, okay, output on printouts. So these are the hardware were used in first generation, vacuum tubes, magnetic drums, input on punch cards, okay, output on printouts are used. So what is the software were used in first generation? Machine language were used. Machine language solved only one problem at a time. Okay, mostly scientific application were developed in our first generation computer. Other features, bulky in size, the size is very large. Okay, highly unreliable. Okay, because the size is very large, it generates more heat, so highly unreliable. Limited commercial use and costly. Okay, limited commercial use and it were very costly. Difficult commercial production. Okay, and difficult to use. So these are the other feature of our first generation. Okay, in hardware vacuum tubes and machine language were used in software, and first generation is 1940 to 56. Okay, so vacuum tube just like a bulb you can see. So in first generation 40 to 56. Now here in first generation the name of computer we can say UNIVAC and ENIAC computers are example of first generation computing devices. Okay, UNIVAC and ENIAC computers are example of first generation computer devices. UNIVAC was the first commercial computer. Okay, this was the first commercial computer. UNIVAC delivered to a business client, the US Census Bureau, in 1951. Okay, so in 1951 US Census Bureau purchased this UNIVAC computer, and this was the first commercial computer. So you can see the size of UNIVAC computer was, you can see in this picture, a UNIVAC computer. This is very large computer screen, and this is also ENIAC computer. This is the first electronic computer. You can see the size of this ENIAC computer. Okay, so this is very big size computer ENIAC, and this was very commercial computer, first commercial, and that was used by US Census Bureau in 1951. Okay, this is ENIAC computer, electronic computer you can say. Now next thing is second generation. So 1956 to 1963. Okay, the second generation is 1956 to 1963, and in these transistors are used. And last time in first generation vacuum tube were used, but in second generation transistors were used. Okay, from 1956 to 63, and the size of computer of second generation you can see. Okay, this is a very big size. Okay, so what is the generation period? So 56 to 63, and in here transistor were used for processing, magnetic core memory are used to store data, magnetic tapes are used to store the data, disk for secondary storage. Okay, secondary storage, so disk were used, software batch processing software were used, assembly language were used. Okay, assembly language were used means machine language is very difficult, so to remove this difficulty, so assembly language were used. High level programming language developed, scientific and commercial application were developed. What are the other features of second generation? Faster, smaller, more reliable, easier to program. Previous generation system commercial production was still difficult and costly. Okay, commercial production was still difficult and costly. So other features you can see. So you can see the generation 56 to 63, transistors are used for processing, magnetic cores, magnetic tapes and disks were used for secondary storage, batch processing, assembly language were used, high level programming, scientific and commercial application were developed. Okay, scientific and commercial. Faster, smaller, more reliable and easier to program, and commercial production were still difficult and costly. Now next thing is, what is IC? IC means integrated circuit. Is a small electronic device made of a semiconductor material. The first integrated circuit was developed in 1950 by J. Kelby and Robert Noyce. Okay, so what is IC? It is a small electronic device made of a semiconductor material, and the first IC was developed in 1950s by J. Kelby and Robert Noyce. Okay students, so today I have discussed about second generation computer and first generation computers. First generation vacuum tube were used, and second generation transistor were used, and the future of technology you can see in different kind of fields. And Charles Babbage are the father of our computing, and computer is a very complex machine, electronic machine which takes input and process raw data and produce meaningful information outside the world. Okay students, thank you so much.